Before we begin, let me know if you can hear and see okay. And also too, if the volume level is okay. Where's the volume thing? All good, okay. It does look like volume here could go a lot higher. Let's see. Well, or not. Okay. Happy Halloween!
Happy Shiva Halloween. As Swamiji says.
Yeah.
It's Shiva Halloween.
Just trying to give you guys a little bit more volume. And if there's any weird distortions or anything, just let me know. We can try to fix it. Maybe not during a song. If there's if it's really bad, then I can. But let's see. Maybe here we can adjust a little bit. Okay, I'll try this for a bit. Okay, so I was gonna say let's just have an intention to connect to Satsang. So we'll do that and we'll just explain to create context according to what Swamiji has said. So first we'll just start in silence, just connecting to the energy. That is kind of a part of the Vedic tradition. You just sit and learn to attune. So the first step before you listen to any type of a talk or before you engage in any type of a practice, the first thing is to kind of sit, quiet down, and tune in. So let's have an intention just to kind of meditate. So I'm just going to read a little bit. This is more or less to further establish why we do puja. Why we do anything spiritual, why do we do positive affirmation, why do we do any type of practice, which means an effortful attempt at keeping the mind docked at a higher place. Like, why do we do this? And how is not so complicated. So that was kind of a part of what I wanted to read. So this is probably, let me see which part. You never know where to start these things. For one, the whole process of puja, I'm going to pull parts out. So all of this is just a part of the Sanatana Dharma. So this is a way of focusing on the eternal truth. Whether or not this world exists, these principles will remain. So this is not a pointing to a religion or you have to do something. It's more of saying, this is just how it works. And so if you choose to engage this way, this is kind of the expected flow. And if you choose to engage in a different way, it's kind of a different expected flow. So whether we're singing Kirtan or doing puja or prayer or meditation or stilling the mind or trying to focus on something positive, there are ways of kind of stating, like I, the ego, in a way. I am nothing and God, you're everything. That's the devotional way of doing it. The jnani side might be a little bit different, but essentially it's the same. They might say self is everything. So no God, no devotee. But it's the same thing. You're just dissolving all of the structures, all of those parts of yourself, the parts of the personality, the ways in which you operate, how you think, how you just live day to day. You are trying to alter those. So that's why we do what we do. We are recognizing that somehow the way that I experience life is not exactly the way I'd like it to be. You may say first, the things in my life are not how I'd like them to be. I want those to be different. I will pray to God and have my desires fulfilled. That's kind of step one of a spiritual seeker. I want things, which is the natural tendency. We are pleasure-seeking, pain-avoidant creatures. That is the ego. And so we are constantly in search to make our lives better, aka more comfortable. That is fine to a point, but that can't be the primary intention. Please God grant all my wishes. So that kind of skips over into another part where it can take off, which is we shouldn't pray or sing devotional songs just to have our desires fulfilled. There are many who think of prayer as a means for personal gain. The aim of prayer is to awaken positive qualities, good vibrations within and without. If life is lived just to satisfy one's desires, robberies, murders, rapes, etc. will increase. Because there are police and people fear the police, there's at least some limit on crime in society. But it is love that helps people truly stay on the right path, love and devotion for God. This is the practical way to maintain harmony in society. Prayer accompanied by positive thoughts produces good vibrations, higher energy. Prayer accompanied by negative thoughts produces bad vibrations. So if you're praying for someone to no longer exist because you don't like them, not going to produce good vibrations. In a sense, you're asking for God to murder someone. The vibrations around a person who is praying will depend on the nature of his or her prayer. If the person prays about harming an adversary, there you go, the person praying will be filled with vibrations of anger. So what you attune your mind to, the basic yogic adage, what you place the attention on or the mind on is what starts to grow within you. You start to imbibe those qualities. So you want to have an intention, think about goodness and try to expand the goodness and stay focused on that. Meditation is essentially that, learning how to fix the mind at a higher place and maintain the focus on that more subtle, positive, fine vibration as long as possible. So oftentimes people will think of something positive and pray to God about something positive, and then as soon as they're done with their prayer, they might go turn on the TV and watch the news, which is a lower vibration. They might go just satisfy their appetite, which can be positive or negative. If you're eating to do the Lord's work, so to speak, then that's a positive thing. If you're eating just because you love the food and that's about it, then that's not exactly very positive. So it's just self-fulfilling. You're just satiating your own inner desires. So you kind of have to look at your life and ask yourself, how do I live it? am I truly living my life for God, or am I living for myself, for my own personal experiences, my own self-gain? So when we're engaging on some sort of a life journey, which we naturally do, whether or not you attempt or you don't, you are flowing in a certain direction, because in effect you are kind of a part of the power structure of the divine. You may or may not be choosing to utilize it at the highest capacity. If you sink the infinite power source all into your own making, it reduces to the size of you. So over time, it reduces. This is also why yogis don't often engage in the performance of their miraculous concentrative abilities, their siddhis. So they choose not to for various reasons. There was one saint who, her name was in a different tradition, but her name was Dipama. And she was extraordinarily gifted in that type of miraculous power kind of place. And she could do so many different things, but her teacher, who is actually enlightened, says, yeah, I have none of these abilities. Somehow. She has all of these. She could liquefy earth, like in all sorts of different kind of things that were just kind of, the master said, I'm amazed by her constantly. I have no idea what she's doing or how she does it, but she knows how. Everything from levitation to changing matter, so there was like seemingly no limit. She wouldn't say that, of course, but then she had to go further to abandon those, to leave those behind, because every time she wanted to change matter, she was getting bound to matter, which she defined. She said, when someone asked her later, after she attained, a higher state, I believe of enlightenment or something very near, she was asked by her students, can you still do all of that? She said yes. And she says, but it would take me like a few days of doing practice to focus on making that happen, getting the momentum moving in that direction. And she says, ultimately, there's really no point to do that when you find happiness within, that's it. So to use your powers to manipulate forms or to change things, that's basically, if you think about it, it's like an egoic, or most people's, dream on earth, to have God do their bidding and give them all the power to make their life how they would like it to be. One good question to ask yourself is, should my life go exactly how I plan? First thing you should ask before you can say yes, definitely to that is, am I all-knowing? Am I all-powerful? Do I know the effect of all of my decisions and the trajectory I would choose right now to send myself on? And will that do good for all that I come into contact with? You have to give it some consideration. You have an idea about how your life should flow. Maybe that's not the way it should go. So we have to put in a lot of contemplative time to really decide. That's how you open up your inner vision. A lot of contemplation. A lot of attunement to higher vibration without thinking is also contemplation. You're placing your mind on a higher source. It's just thinking in a different way. But if you think about, let's say, like Krishna everywhere, in every little atom, and your breath, and the atmosphere, the sky, the clouds, the earth, everything, that's contemplation. Because essentially a contemplator would be thinking about how everything is the self in every little atom and beyond. And so you're doing the same exact thing, whether it's deity-focused or self-focused, Atma-focused, or, if you want to say, Atma, I'm going for Paramatma, it's all of our mind making up ideas of the gradations of life, and they actually do exist in the Mayic terrain, but not in the absolute. So if you want to try to pick what you believe is the highest title, Brahman, let's go for the highest. Everyone will constantly do that. But that's, in a sense, it's a little bit of a misunderstanding / power envy, wanting to get stuff. If you feel like you're docked under the highest, you feel the safest, you feel the most endowed, like you can do what you need to do, like you have all the power at your disposal. So you kind of have to look at motive. I always tell people, examine your motive. You may have lots of prayers. You may think they're wonderful. You want all people to no longer suffer. Why? Sometimes you might think, well, it's just loving, I don't want anyone to suffer. But there can be a part of you that's just sick of people suffering, which means sick of the way that karma unfolds, sick of being in school, sick of homework, sick of watching other people do homework, which is watching their karma unfold, sick of you having pop quizzes, which is your karma unfolding. So when you pray for peace, are you really accepting the universal karmic design, or are you rejecting it and choosing to kind of pray in a way to make God stop? Stop all this karma. I don't want to deal anymore. So we want to grow into a level of supreme acceptance, but that doesn't mean non-participatory acceptance, like complacency. We can be very acceptant and very proactive, very lovingly, positively, service-oriented, proactive. So kind of this whole idea of how to place the mind on God, that's a question that's been age-old, and it's also been completely answered. But we often don't hear the complete response because we have motives and limited vision and understanding that blocks us. So we can't move into it because we haven't properly examined ourselves. So Swamiji has said this before, for instance. He said, enough talk about God. Just understand yourself first. If you can understand yourself, who you really are, you'll understand God. But if you can't understand yourself, what's the point? So they're kind of the same. Atma, Paramatma. But you can see it different if you like, because the mind will. That's why you'll hear the two titles and you'll hear the difference. And, a lot of debate could go on about the validity of the differences and all of that. And I've talked about it before too, but it's just, you got to start from somewhere to put your mind on something that represents the highest qualities. So interesting kind of inner contemplation is, am I focusing on the highest qualities? You may say, I'm focusing on love. That's the highest. Is your version of love the highest? You have to be willing to break apart what you believe lovingness is and make it actually loving, truly loving, not loving to others because you're afraid of being rejected. Like people will do that sometimes, be really nice to everyone so that they'll never be judged. So they'll always play everyone's side. It's always like an alliance. Yes, I love you. You're great. I love you're so wonderful, even though they have all their own judgments about them. And they're afraid of being judged themselves. So that's just one scenario. But the point is to analyze the virtue that you want, and don't just say, yes, I want to be loving. That's good, but you have to continually inspect what that means to go further and further into that. And you have to be willing to go deep into the emotion of it and express it fully and go through all of the pains and problems that might be restricting you from going even deeper. So it does require a hefty amount of work. You can't just say and expect for miracle, like say, I'm going to be more loving, and then poof, it happens and that's it. If that were the case, which miracles can happen, but like I say, you can't plan on miracles. They happen or they don't. But you have to be willing to do the legwork. That's what sadhana is. You are literally effortfully trying to put the attentiveness of your being on a higher vibration. And if you feel it drop, then you put it back up. What most people do is they live their life normally, normal vibration. You feel like a solid human, which isn't the way you're supposed to be. It's not how you're supposed to live, by the way. You can change this. You can grow beyond and realize really that you've never been trapped inside of anything. A body, a situation, a life. Innumerable incarnations occur, but you've never been trapped or limited in any of them. And that's what lets you get a glimpse of kind of the play of Shiva. So you get to have the full experience that is just kind of a game of yourself, so to speak. But as long as you feel in the body, you're going to feel like, you're going to need to serve this thing. That's how you're going to feel. If you feel more diffused, you'll feel like it's less important to serve this thing. If you feel like you're everywhere, serving this thing, serving that thing, what's the difference? So that's how you moved from selfishness or self-centered living to selflessness. You get rid of the personal self. And you see God as a reflection, so to speak, because that's what your mind does. It reflects. So you see God in everything. You see God reflecting or shining. Devta, so it's all shining through. Everything that you see is just that. There's no central point, it's just everywhere. So we are trying to constantly raise the vibration. Some people will say, look, I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to do my spiritual practice. It's not that complicated. Pick a higher vibration, dock your mind there, keep it there as long as you can. And always try to raise it, but if you can't, at least just keep it there as long as you can. So this is how easy it is. I explained it some ways differently, but this is pretty simple to understand this one. Okay, so the vibrations that emanate to the world from an individual in prayer match the attitude of the mind behind his or her own prayer. So that just is pretty clear. So what are you really praying for? Check your motives. That's why I say that all the time. Check your motives. Different emotions arise in a person when he or she thinks of his mother, wife, husband, children, friends. So for instance, you may think of your family and pray lots of good stuff for them. You may think of a politician and pray not so good stuff for them. It depends on where your mind's at. You may pray for, your family to have good things, and maybe you have like a, we'll call it an enemy, but someone in life that you don't like, and they're directly affecting you, and you're going to have a hard time praying for them to be loved and feel love. You might even say it in your mind because you know you're supposed to, but you don't feel it. Like, check your motives. What do you really want? Are you really trying to dole out love, light, goodness, and happiness? Or is it pain or frustrations or wanting vengeance or, God to take care of this person, this thing, this situation, your money, your whatever? What are you asking for? What do you want? What are you afraid of experiencing? This is really where this true spiritual seeker shines. They can do this really well. They can ask these deep questions, they can make a change, and they go forward. The neophyte or newer or insincere, because they could be on the path for decades, but not that sincere spiritual seekers, they don't really ask these questions. They know they should be better. They know they should think different, but they're not willing to. They're not going to inspect. They don't really want to see their motives so much because they feel like it's going to make them feel like they're dirtier, more impure, feel worse about themselves, rather than see the muck and then fix it. They just don't want to see the muck because then they feel mucky. So, you have to be very clear about what it is that you would like to do with your life. Are you really aiming for enlightenment, or would you like just a lot of blessings for a ton of personal gain? And realize that the personal gain, like if you had a genie, and the genie or a devta right in front of you, that was going to give you everything. Do you think you have the wisdom to make that decision right now, where it would work out in your favor? Like, no loopholes. It's very hard to do that. Like, I always laugh about it and I say, like, thank God none of my prayers came true when I was younger, because I would have a totally messed up life. I prayed for dumb things like go-karts. Please, God, if you love me. Because everyone had a go-kart but me. That's like so cruel to like a little boy. But it's like I thought I wanted that and that would make me happy. It turns out it was just a waste of time. It wasn't a bad thing, but it made me get more focused on my path. It made me learn something about myself. It made me understand what yearning is. It made me understand what it is for the mind to get stuck on something and recycle the same material over and over. Things like that. So you learn from not getting the things that you want. Good things. You learn good things from not getting the things that you do want. Sometimes you always want a bigger raise, but you never do. Maybe because you have a tendency to go a little bit out of control, so you stay low. You can get your needs provided for. Maybe you need to teach yourself strength, so you have difficult situations that you're in because it's to train you to get stronger. It's not to weaken you. You may feel it's to weaken you, but it's to train you to become the strength that you hope to become. So there's so many reasons for how the karma unfolds. And we don't want to have some limited view and say, it's not right, I want different. So what is your prayer? What are you praying for? So if you're praying for things because it's going to make you happy, sometimes it works like that. Sometimes it does. But the better prayer to have is praying to just be happiness. Like, forget the next extra exercise, the step. Give me this. And then you got to wait. You got time, probably money, attention, because you have to be actively engaging in your prayer to get something many times. It doesn't just usually come. You have to put the physical, the karma, the action into it. So you have to do that to receive. So then it's easier just to ask to be happy. Let me just be content with what I have. Let me develop the quality of santosh. Be content, full of heart, full of mind. Let's make my life enjoyable with what I have. And if I do get more, let me use it for good purpose, for good reasons, to support the Dharma, to go forward helping others, to be an assistant to other people's growth and process. Not to just live out my own self-centered life, but to be there for others, to really help people raise their vibration. If you do your sadhana and you have a high vibration, everywhere you go you bring meditation. It doesn't mean people are closing their eyes and going into meditation, but they feel better. So a lot of their worries go, a lot of their stress goes, and they think, oh, this is easier. So they might not even associate it with you, because you're not supposed to be like proselytizing. but they might feel like, oh, I don't know what it is, but I'm more comfortable around this person. And that's because you give off the meditative vibe. Maybe people around you, they cry all the time because you give off a purification vibe. And so they're getting pure, but to get pure, you need to become real with what you're going through. That happens too. It's not a bad one, but they might not attribute spirituality and meditation to you, or the grace of God. But they might learn sensitivity, emotional connection, how to live a life that's more grounded and fulfilling in a healthy, wholesome way. So you want to align with the vibe you'd like to also bring to people. So everyone benefits. That's the idea. We want everyone to benefit. So then the simplicity of tuning, prayerfulness. So when you think of your mother, or rather, I'm going to change this a little bit here because I know it is intended. So when a mother thinks of her child, maternal love arises. When a father thinks of his child, paternal love arises. You don't have to try. Like if you have like a cute little fluffy puppy, and you just think of the puppy and you just feel the love, that's a beautiful thing. Feel the love, and then feel the love spreading, diffusing. Bring your tuning to the essence, and then you're broadening the essence effect. If you just keep it for your fluffy puppy, or if you just keep it for your wife, or you just keep it for your husband, or you just keep it for your friend, then it stays just there. There's no harm in letting it diffuse. This doesn't change your roles. This just changes how much love is available for all to participate in. Your love for your child is different from your love for your friend. It's different from your love for your spouse. It's different from your love from your mom and dad, your grandma. It's all different love, but it's all love. So roles and qualities can exist separately, but the love is there, always. So you can love Earth, but it's different from how you'd love your child. You can love everything. There is an equality that can exist, but it takes a while for somebody to develop on the more personal qualities of love and, broaden them universally before it's possible to get the true equilibrium, the true, vision of love, So when you think about something naturally that arises, so all these feelings reside in the mind and they awaken different vibrations. Because the vibrations depend on one's state of mind, we should make sure that our prayers are always accompanied by positive thoughts. So when you think of someone, think good of them. So if you think of yourself, think good of yourself. You can recognize where you need to grow. That's actually a positive thought. Oh, this is an issue I have, I should grow. So it's a positive thing to recognize where you can grow. If a person could never recognize where they could grow, then they would just take a nosedive to the lowest vibrations, and then you'd think that person doesn't really have the ability or the positive ability to make a change, right? So it's a positive thing to say, I've got an issue, I need to fix it. So you want to be able to connect in that way with yourself and with others as well. So because of where you place your attention is what feelings start to arise, is why we do this, with the symbolism and with the pictures and with the pujas and with the chanting and with the singing, chanting God's names, etc. Because it creates an atmosphere, it creates a vibration, it creates a way of thinking, it creates a way of feeling. And this is helping you raise your vibration to a higher place. So we don't want to just sing and just chant, but you want to think like you're taking time out of your life right now to connect to the ultimate principle. In this case, especially like with Shiva, like you're connecting to the ultimate principle, the formless reality that can form or manifest to interact with you, but it's always uninvolved yet involved. It's very complicated. Like with the Heart Sutra, where emptiness is form and form is emptiness. Like really contemplate on that. How is all of this empty, and how is emptiness all of this? And that's not different. They're not like exclusive from one another. That's your mind that makes them broken apart into two halves. Formlessness and form. That is your mind. If a mirage exists, which it really doesn't, you wouldn't say that it existing and not existing are two separate things. By the word mirage, you know that it exists and it doesn't. So if this whole world is a mirage, it exists and it doesn't. So all form is formlessness, and all formlessness is form. It's like there is no difference. It's all a mirage, to use that term. Mirage is not actually the best term, but I'm trying to, point to something useful. So then we get into an environment where all those vibrations are being brought up, focused on, and we try to feel and absorb them. So this goes back to why you start any type of thing with sit, quiet, and meditate. That's how you attune. You're choosing to attune, bring in the vibrations, and then start focusing your mind on what your eternal quest is. What is the Sanatana Dharma? Where are you headed? What do you want? What is this life for you? How is it going to be created, and which direction are you going? So that was just kind of a little bit of a recap about the reasons why we do any type of spiritual practice that may look, form-based, and some people may knock that down and look at it as not helpful, or it's not, Advaita, it's not non-duality. But all of this is leading to the same formless reality. Why? Because all forms are connected to the formless reality. All formless reality is the forms, and the forms are the formless. It's a trick of perception and the way that you have chosen to identify with those forms to keep them separate from the divine, which makes you feel them as undivine. And therefore you can't experience life and all of the forms as all of Shiva's powers. So when we're celebrating Halloween, I bet no one thought how it's going to come back to this, but when we're celebrating Halloween, we're celebrating, as Swamiji says, all of Shiva's powers. You're a part of the power structure. I was saying this word before, the power structure of God. And so you're able to do stuff, force, push, move things. It may not look that significant, but you could either push a child or hug a child. You could say something that's nice or say something that's dangerous, that might be very harmful for someone just to hear in their psyche, in their heart. You have immense power. You are wielding, as Swamiji has said this before. So Swamiji has said, kind of in a way, like you're backed by the divine. You have the eternal power source behind you. Like, what could go wrong? Which, maybe materially things might go wrong, but if it's going to lead you to recognizing that there's only the eternal power and that you've always been connected to the perennial link, the link, it's not really a link. You've never been disconnected. You, in fact, are that. But when we feel so separate, we have to say words like link. You are always linked. God is always with you. Because you don't feel it. So then someone has to tell you, well, okay, fine. God's with you, at least. God's holding your hand. God's leading you through. You can't see. Invisible power will help you. But the fact is that ultimately you are that. Kind of the great Paramatma. But personally, if you are so identified with the body and your own psychology, you're not going to find that easy to reconcile with. You might say, yeah, it's nice theory, good philosophy, nice, but I don't feel that. And then if you're one of those people that says, because I don't feel, therefore it's not true, the king of arrogance, right? Someone who thinks that their feelings are the supreme dictator of all. Like, I don't feel it to be true, therefore it's not true. Like, that level of pride and arrogance blocks us from seeing more clearly. So we want to become more humble. We want to start with humility means I don't know, right? I feel this way, but I don't know if my feelings are true. Maybe I'm wrong. That's humility. Sometimes people are only interested in humility with facts. Sky's blue. Oh, but you don't understand about reflection. Like, who cares if the sky's blue, purple, orange, pink? It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter factually what's going on in the world mostly. Yeah, it's good to know the facts. And it's a part of growth and development. I'm not going to say it's not, but on the spiritual enlightenment side, you are literally trying to go beyond the interest in what the forms are doing. That's Maya pulling you. Look at this. Or like, you're ready to meditate. Oh, look at this. You're ready. Oh, I'm going to meditate. I don't want to get distracted. You spend 5 minutes on Facebook. Oh, and I don't want to go back to meditation. And then something, ding, a friend texts you. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's so funny. And now you're just, oh, I'm going to go back to meditation. Constantly, right? Just observe it with a lot of humor. Wow, this is Maya. Maya is not evil. Maya is not bad. Maya is your mother. She's playing with you. You chose to hop in the sandbox. She says, great, let's play. So that's how we're here. This is what we're doing. Just so turns out you're the child, you're all the children, you're the sandbox, and you're the mother. But the way that you're interpreting it is going to be how connected to the senses that you are, how bound you feel to the apparatus that you feel intimately connected to. So if you feel this thing and not that thing, you will naturally say, me, not me. So that's why we're constantly trying to have the attitude of like namaha, or not me, or it's all God, or it's all self, or however you're going to work with it. But we're getting rid of the barrier. Me, not me. It's the only barrier. It's not about me and you so much. It's about me and not me. See, you are on the not me side. So that's what we're trying to get rid of. So when we're looking at, like I've said this before, when we're looking at positive examples, easier to say, I want that to be associated with me. When we're looking at negative, or beings that we can't understand, or that kind of lurk in the shadows or do different things that we don't approve of, it's harder to see unity with that. So the whole point of Halloween, as Swamiji was stating, is that they're all connected to God, right? So if God creates all things, then it's all, at least you have to say it's connected. So if God created it, who are you going to blame when that person exists, or that person exists, or this politician exists, or that politician exists, or this religious leader exists? Like, who are you going to blame? There's no one to blame. It's supposed to be like this. So then the idea is that, okay, how can I extend my understanding to see this is all coming from Shiva? How can I see that it's all coming from the great supreme, the eternal? So this is kind of what we're tasked with. Halloween is kind of basically trying to see everything as a part of Shiva. So when we sing and celebrate, we're basically connecting to all the powers of Shiva. And, as Swamiji, points to, referred to as like the powers of Shiva. There's like Rudra, so Rudram. So we'll do a mantra with that. And it's a way of kind of, as Swamiji said, connecting with the powers of Shiva. And if any of them are causing trouble or difficulty in your life, it'll kind of protect you from it. So it's like you're connecting to God, and God kind of means everything. And sometimes when you connect to everything, you're exposed to many things. So then you pray to God also to ask for, as much as you're connecting, for protection from everything also. Until you become the eternal, you'll still feel subjected to things, right? You might pray to God and you might feel unity everywhere, and it doesn't stop your car from getting in a car crash necessarily, especially if you're meditating and driving. Getting too lost in Kirtan while driving or something. There are mistakes, quote unquote, if you want to say, where karma is unfolding. And everything is just kind of happening. So things will happen. So we want to try to embrace all of the powers of Shiva. So that's one of the great things where, if you've seen the mantra defined like Om Namah Shivaya. So when you see Om Namah Shivaya defined, it's typically representing everything, and also as all of the powers of the elements that have created all of this, including you and everything else. So there's nothing but Shiva. And it may come to you as earth, it may come to you as water, it may come to you as fire, it may come to you as air, it may come to you as space. It may exist as seeming mind. It may be what you believe or call, what your mind calls consciousness. But it's all Shiva. So then if it is, then, you don't have to worry about anything. You're definitely taken care of. So kind of the point of worshiping Shiva is also to connect to all of the powers and say, I worship all of the powers too. So it means we worship you, we worship the trees, we worship the plants, we worship the grass, we worship the earth, we worship the fire, we worship the moon, we worship the sun. It's also like the second blue moon of the month, or one blue moon of the month, second full moon. Which is considered like a rare thing. So the idea of a full moon too is to bring fruition, full reflection of the light. Your mind must be clean to have full reflection of the spirit, if you want to call it, or Atma. If you hold on to any wish or desire, any shading, you can't reflect the light. That's why you have to surrender all your desires. Each desire is like a little mirage of shadow that blocks light from reflecting perfectly off of a clean and polished mind, which is why we do mantra, to polish the mind, polish. And that's why we also engage in dharma talks and any type of practices, like puja, etc., pranayam, because we're trying to clean things up so that we can be, as Swamiji says, like a fit receptacle of the divine light. If you don't clean yourself up enough, how can you expect to receive the fullness of God's grace and energy and glory? How can you expect to get it? That's a little weird, huh? It's like entitlement, strange entitlement, like somebody who walks around like they own everywhere they go and they don't own anything other than what they own. A person who's been, let's say they grew up self-centered and kind of they got everything they wanted. And then so now in life later, 20, 30, 40 years later, they still expect everyone should serve them. And it's like, you don't deserve that. Who are you to me? But they have a weird sense of entitlement they should just get. Same when you're around a Sadguru, you may believe that they should bless you in a certain way. They should put their hand on your head, or they should give you prasad, or they should. They don't have to do anything. They have no, there's no rule book for them. They do this for you. They don't have to do any of this. They never have to put on any type of connection format for you. No satsangs, no telecasts, no, retreats. They don't have to do anything. They're done. They're complete in themselves. They have nothing to do. They're a being that literally has nothing to do, and yet they do so much. So we have to also take part in the honoring that if you get any connection with grace, you have to have a couple thoughts. One is, oh my God, what did I do right in which incarnation to deserve this lifetime to be connected with a true, authentic source or power of grace? What did I do in my lifetime? And all of your habits and the things that you feel that have been impure in the past, and it just makes you understand those songs. Kind of why would God save a wretch like me? It's famous kind of. And so any type of prayerfulness, of just almost where they have begging applied, it's or connecting, or just gratitude, or it's kind of understandable. It's definitely in our psyche. It's definitely how we vibe. It's definitely how we think. It's how we actually relate. Philosophy aside, it's how you personally feel. When you feel in trouble, you ask for help. So then when the universe manifests a situation where you're actually being helped by grace, that's something. Because there are billions of people on earth that hold tight to a religion or a belief and want to believe that God is there and with them and connecting, but they don't actually feel anything or any connection, which is really, unfortunate, but that's also kind of how this realm apparently is programmed, if that's the way that it is. So whenever you feel any type of something that feels like it's moving you in the right way, I don't care if you feel it from a tree, from a cute little bird, a little kitty cat. It doesn't matter how you feel it come through. It's just enjoy the moment and feel the grace, feel the love, feel the connection, feel the prasad. You just got a gift. They come at rare times. And if you have an extended gift where you can connect to grace in, one or two or various ways, if you have a mantra from a Sadguru, where you have the abilities to just see, those are Swamiji's padukas. That's not a rare, it's not a common thing. You can buy padukas anywhere, but that's not the same thing. It's wood, in a way. When they're consecrated, it's what it is brought out. So they are what they are. So this, in effect, is the entire cosmos. So doing puja to this is doing puja to all of you. It's doing puja to the trees, the plants, the animals. It's doing puja to your food. It's doing puja to the chairs. It's doing puja to your clothes. It's doing puja to everything. This is the cosmos, therefore doing puja to that is that. And if we shift our gaze this way, because this is easier for you to see also, but when we do the offerings here, this is in effect the same. So we're doing puja to everything, God in all forms, as all forms. God that looks like God, at least in your mind, and God that doesn't look like God. So to some, this image looks like God. To others, in other traditions, it doesn't look like God. So you have to be able to connect with God in whatever form it comes to you in. What if God doesn't ever come as a human, but only comes as an element? A little tiny stream in a forest that nobody would ever see. They would just walk over it and pay no attention to it, like a creek. Maybe that's God. And how would you know? So it's so much easier when it's a human, because it speaks and can tell you things and initiate you and help you, and other things can initiate you. But you get that type of communication in a language that you can understand. So I'm talking about this not even as just a particularly like as a guru principle, like a Sadguru principle, not just a teacher, how it kind of gets used like that. But I'm talking about it in the sense that the ultimate principle manifests all these principles in which we find that realm of interaction. This is how we relate to something we can't relate to. This is how we try to pull in those vibrations. We try to connect with it as much as possible. Obviously the Shivling is, this is the whole principle of creation itself. So then look around. This is the Shivling, It gets translated in so many different ways, but you'll find that the idea is more like infinite light, infinite pillar of light. But pillar can be defined in a different way. Instead of the appearance of something, it can be looked at as kind of the breaking through of the Maya. So it would look like a pillar, look like light. It would look like something coming through. The whole idea of the shining one, Devta. But we can't see that. We can meditate on it, central column of light, etc., all those kind of things. But we have to find a way to relate. And so when we put anything into some sort of a format that's smaller to see, it's because it's a symbol for what's eternal, what's greater. So when you are doing any type of puja or connection to something that looks like a statue, it's a cosmic principle. It's not a statue you're doing puja to. It is the eternal aspect of creation, or beyond aspect, but the eternal, all aspects of creation. So just to focus this down on today specifically, the puja is going to be in some of the chanting and things that we'll do, but in some of the songs too. It will be a way to connect to all souls, because they're all powers of Shiva. So she's a power of Shiva, a power of Rudra, a force. So is this little guy. So is I, so am I, so is everyone. So we want to be able to connect to not just humans and animals, but bugs and plants and elements, everything that you can see and not see, every realm, higher, lower, whatever you want to call it. Is that the thing is that none of them exist without existence. Shiva being existence means that none of them exist without Shiva. Which means that you all want to exist, you want to continue to exist, you want to have a good existence, which means you're all devotees of Shiva. And even a person who is engaged in criminal activities or whatever it may be, they all want to exist and have a good life too. They're just going about it in a certain way that takes from others. There's certain people that live to give to others, and there's certain people that live to take from others. That's duality. You can't blame them. You chose to incarnate here. So you need to just understand the rules of the game. So we want to see the beauty that unfolds. I think all of us have had experiences where somebody gives you something and it's like, oh my God, thank you so much. And you feel like you've grown. Someone gave you like compassion at a time where maybe you felt you didn't deserve it, and it just like broke through a lot of your own problems. Like, how could that happen? I'm so blessed. And I think we can all identify with the other side. Sometimes we have grown so much by having something taken from us. Maybe a loved one, maybe your pet puppy, or grandma or grandpa. We all go through this. Maybe you've had something stolen from you. Maybe you had something in good condition, like your body, and then it went in bad condition. So you feel like your health was stolen or taken from you. Whatever the scenario. But when you lose something, you do start to appreciate things much more deeply. So loss is not always loss. Loss is gain. Gain is gain, and loss is gain. So it's actually a very beautiful cycle. So God is doing God's work. Now, where does karma come in a sense? It's mostly, I would have to say, like when you don't understand something and you start cursing it or getting upset with it, and you're, saying it shouldn't have happened. First off, who are you to call that? Like, none of us know. Yes, we'd like to prefer and have a magical, wonderful, great, positive realm. Like, we'd all like to have a nice realm where we all could do whatever we want to do. Who wouldn't want that? And have no bad stuff and whatever. But just let's be practical with the realm that we're in. And understand it for what it is. And understand the lessons and the hard things that occur in life, and understand the lessons and the good things. If we can embrace life fully, life can be amazing. Then you see God everywhere, because you see the inner, special, hidden, magical workings, the Halloween workings, the little magic and everything. When you don't see the good things, you'll feel like it's a curse. You're cursed, life is cursed, nothing good ever happens for you, everything's always so difficult, why has it got to be like this? You're making life difficult by your attitude. Yeah, things may be difficult, but your attitude's making them extra difficult. Haven't you had an experience where a hard thing happened and you basically, made the best out of it, and it wasn't that bad? And then when you've had an experience where a hard thing happened and you just made it horrible, and you made even things that weren't that bad horrible, and they weren't that bad, and now they became 20 times worse than they actually were, by your own doing, by your own state of mind. So let's look at the power of our own perception and how we can change that. So if you can choose to see kind of the glory of God, or the glory of Shiva in all of this that's occurring, good and bad kind of idea, then you can learn constantly. Learning means growth. So you'll learn and you'll grow. Constantly you'll be learning and growing. But if you can't see God, the presence of God in something in your life, you won't be learning because you can't see it, and you won't be growing. So we have an opportunity to learn and grow. So Halloween also represents a time that you can kind of retroactively look back into your life at anything that you thought was a difficult situation and say, I learned from this. And once you can see what you learned, you will grow from this too. You grow out of the little human box that's always wedging you in there. And you feel like you exist beyond the boundaries of the body. And eventually you'll feel like you exist everywhere and the body is just within you. And all the bodies are within you. So then the idea of you and others are not so real feeling. It's more like it's a game. Yes, hello, how are you? And I am me, I'm good. How are you? So it can feel more like a game instead of so personal. Like, how are you? Oh, it's so bad. Like we make it so like there's no God in it. We're either talking about what we're attached to and how happy that makes us, or what went wrong in our life and how miserable that made us. Like, that's what everyone in life does. This is a change of perception. Shiva, I know this is from you. I'm not blaming. I know tons of things could happen to me, what I might call good or bad, but I know that it's only designed to help me grow. And so when we are chanting and aligning to all these forces, all of God, coming from all directions, always, this is helping us move into that state of awareness. So then, doing puja or not, contemplating or not, you just see the workings of Shiva everywhere. The no complaints. That's what you're trying to do. Santosh also, you could say, means no complaints. You're trying to get to a place of no complaints. How can you have no complaints? You have to see it's all happening for the good. Why am I saying good? And sometimes you'll hear, if you have good, you'll have bad. It's because your mind won't just drop bad. You have to just see the good first. It's all good. And then eventually you'll see that it's all good. And another way that Shiva gets defined is the consciousness of infinite goodness. So it means it's all happening for the good. So, and you can't complain, as Swamiji says, if somebody's doing something negative to you. How can you judge them if they're just a pawn, in a way, of a game of the Maya that is just simply programmed to repay you for a karmic debt that you needed to work out? Like, you can't complain if that's what you had to go through. Doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Doesn't mean that. It means that you're ready to grow. That's why it happened to you. So you're given the opportunity to transcend, to evolve, to move beyond. And that's why difficulties arise, so that you can continue to grow at like a lightning speed. Okay? So sure, that's enough to contemplate on for a long time. But this is, in a sense, with Halloween, you're opening to all beings. You're opening to what maybe you might call the saints. And you're opening to all of the forces that maybe you don't even want to pay attention to. You're opening and saying, you're all in the cosmos. And if yoga, and so many different types of teachings are true, the microcosm is in the macrocosm, and the macrocosm is in the microcosm. Then you're all in me. I am in your heart, you are in my heart. I am in your soul, you are in my soul, so to speak. So we're all in this, in a way, together. And in fact, we might be so in it that we're not even different. We're just different extensions of the one great force of the divine, of the Shiva. Mahadev, great God. The great, not better than, as it often gets misunderstood. Maha is more of, there is no other. So, it's the only. It's not saying that all the other ideas of gods aren't existing too, it's just not different than. Which is maybe too much for tonight to focus on. Another day, perhaps. So one of the great things about the idea of the sutra, the infinite thread of consciousness, is that it's in me, it's in you, it's in everything. It's in all forms that you can see here. So it's not really a thread per se, but it's a great way to contemplate on. Okay, everything is a bead on the string, on the mala. So really try to kind of pull that in and let that become a part of yourself, a part of your heart, a part of your consciousness, a part of your mind. just understand that nothing is out of place. That's how you develop santosh. As soon as your mind believes something's out, then you can't be calm, relaxed, or complete. Okay? So maybe we'll start with. Do you want to start with chanting a little puja, or do you want to start with the? Mm-hmm. Okay, either is fine. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to do like a very small puja. So are you going to do all the names, or?
Whenever you like.
No, I'm fine with whatever. Just to note, like with if you do the names or not, it's not necessarily something that you have to do when you do these. It's an understanding that you're trying to understand. It doesn't make much sense, but you get what I'm saying. Like sometimes you'll see like it'll be like you'll see different types of terms, and they're transliterated, and we get them in English, and it's not so much something that necessarily is translated correctly, but you'll see things like we bow to she who is light, and then on the next hand it'll say Om, we bow to she who is dark. Om, we bow to she who is fullness. We bow to she who is emptiness. Like the point is you're just going everywhere. God is here, God is here, God is here. If you had to make a modern day puja, Om, we bow to she who is a great microphone. Like it's true. It might sound dumb, like I'm making fun of it, but I'm not. It's like in actuality, we're trying to see God everywhere. It's a practice. She's in the moon, she's in the sun, she's in the earth, she's in technology too. She's in everything. So we want to stretch the mind and see how she is everywhere. In this case, so we're just saying a he, but it's actually beyond the genders. So that's something just to kind of understand, So we'll move into this just to get into the practice side. I'm sure everyone has heard way more than wanted. Where is the... Oh, I got it. Lighter. So we can also sing and play and just kind of have silence too with it. We're not going to do the whole thing. We're just kind of picking out parts to do some of the offerings and chant some of the names.
So we'll start by chanting Om together 3 times.
Remember, this is for all of us, even if you're not chanting, because clearly Isha is, but have the attitude of all of this is being offered. So when you chant, you don't just do a puja and you're chanting to yourself, you're offering it to a consecrated point, and that is what makes it work. So with consecration, or with the Guru's blessing, so to say, it works. Without, it doesn't. So when we offer, it's not, like a lot of times people see this as the offering, So then we'll chant or we'll offer food or something, but the chant is the offering too. It's a vibrational offering. All of this is vibrational, whether it's physical or sound or light, or mind waves or emotional offering or consciousness, it's all an offering. So all energy has come from that, and we're giving all the energy back. That's the whole principle of puja. So just to keep that in mind. So even if you're not doing any of these offerings, and I'm going to do them all on behalf of you, which we're not doing that many, but you want to have the intention that you're making this offering along with me, okay? And when she's chanting, you have an intention that you're chanting too. You can run it through your mind. Just listen and imagine it going here, okay?
And that Shiva also we did puja with Swamiji by the Ganga too.
Yeah, so this was a shivling that we got in Rishikesh that allegedly came from, you never know. It allegedly, we know the shopkeeper too, they're friends of ours, so, but you still don't know the history of things. But allegedly this came from a particular place in the Himamaji has actually stayed and meditated and lived for some time. So that was kind of a part of it, that was the selling point. So.
And we used it for puja with Swamiji.
Yeah, we used it along the banks of the Ganga with Swamiji in Rishikesh, doing puja with it, with all the priests. Okay, so let's all have the intention, all the energy is going this way. We have Shiva as Shivling, we have Shiva as Swamiji form, expressing through that. Shiva as the whole family, you know. Shiva as Ganga, Shiva as Parvati, Shiva as the moon, Shiva as Ganesh, Shiva as all of this.
शिवाय विद्महे सहस्रक्षाय धीमहि तन्नो शम्भो प्रचोदयात्। ॐ अग्नि ज्योतिरवि ज्योतिश्चन्द्र ज्योतिस्तथैव च ज्योतिसमुत्तमो देव दीपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम् एष दीप ॐ नमः शिवाय। वनस्पतिरत्सोत्पन्नो गन्धत्यय गन्ध्य उत्तम अग्रेय सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम् एष धूप ॐ नमः शिवाय। With folded hands, Gayatri mantra. ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। Offering a flower with each of these mantras. एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ आदित्यादिनवग्रहेभ्यो नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ शिवादि पञ्चदेवताभ्यो नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ इन्द्रादि दशदिक्पालेभ्यो नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ मत्स्यादि दशावतारेभ्यो नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ प्रजापतये नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ नमो नारायणाय नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ सर्वेभ्यो देवेभ्यो नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ सर्वेभ्यो देवीभ्यो नमः। एते गन्धपुष्पे ॐ श्री गुरवे नमः।
50 of them, don't really matter, but they're representatives of the direction. That's just the representative. They're not necessarily the direction, but they're representing the flow of things being offered. So it's like mind is usually offering to yourself, oh, I like that, that's fun, let's do this, let's watch that, let's eat this. So you're offering to yourself, forgetting God. So the idea is to kind of forget yourself and remember God. So you're redirecting. Instead of to you, it's to God.
So I'll start, and then when we get to the point, then Brian will read your names out loud. Vishnu Om Tat Sat Om Adhya Jabundipe America Deshe California Pradeshe Ohai Nagare October Mase Krishna Pakshe Saturday Tito, and Brian will read all of the names to be included.
Ritu Ketarpal, Kristen Connors, Brian Lotman, Jennifer Abels, Kelly Hollis, Alex Benprat, Satya Vanderklut, Jessica Gomez, Dawn Charlotte, I think. Yeah, it's small. Everything's small over here. Elizabeth Shabazi. So that's all that we have right now. And we'll have an intention that if you type it through after when I'm not looking, it'll just kind of carry over. Michael Gomez. So yeah, and so if it keeps on coming, it'll just keep
Brent
on.
Pilligard.
Brent Pilligard. Hey, Brent.
Shri Shiva Kamaha Puja Karmaham Karishye. Pushpe Om Shivaya. Ete Ganna Pushpe Om Haraya Namaha. Ete Ganna Pushpe Om Maheshwaraya Namaha.
Sometimes you'll do the offerings and the 108 names. So
Before and after.
different names, yeah.
That's how it is here.
Well, the Om Namah Shivaya, and then you might do also the 108 names, different names. And other times you just do this as a quick puja. And other times you just chant the 108 names, or maybe you just do 108 Om Namah Shivayas if you're kind of going that route. So in this case, we just kind of mix and match. Everything that we offer, I'm not going to go through it, but it's all very connected to you. So this is like we're doing your inner alchemy, but these are external symbols. If somebody said to find within yourself a certain type of a prana, and elevate it, you would say, I don't know how to do that, I don't know where to look, and that's pointless information to me. So you either learn a yogic technique to do it, or you do a puja where things are differently connected. And so when you offer the item and it's connected to that prana, then it elevates the prana. So there's different ways of doing it. You can also just chant a particular mantra to have it and not do this, but it just depends on what however you're choosing to go for it. So we're doing, what is it?
Foot bath.
Okay. Also too, when you offer something like a foot bath, clearly we understand this is a Shivaling. So, in a sense, everything is Shiva's feet. So it's this is like offering to the cosmos. It can also be to the actual form too. But when you offer, God doesn't need anything. So when you offer, you're actually receiving. It always looks like you're giving, which is a good attitude to get into because you can't receive unless you give. It's in giving that we shall receive. That's this that we're getting into this momentum, this mind. But let's just be honest, God needs nothing. So when you offer to clean, to wash Shiva's feet, or if you have a Sadguru and you're doing Pada Puja, this is a part of it. We actually do it with Swamiji's feet. When you're making an offering like this, you're actually cleansing yourself. So it looks like you're cleansing the Guru's feet, but it's actually cleansing you. You're getting Shakti and it's just flowing through you. So in this way, it's the same. So we're offering water to clean Shiva's feet, but it's actually going to be, in a sense, you could say, cleaning your own feet. So it's going to be everything we offer for drinking, it'll cleanse you in a certain way. For a bath, it'll cleanse you in a different way, cleansing the feet in a different way. So each thing that we're, participating, it's all going to affect you differently. So it's all different blessings for everyone. Okay.
Om Namah Shivaya Padyam Samarpayami.
As the energy of the auspicious, which is why cows are also so revered, as Swamiji says, but also this is like the great nourisher. So imagine this as just nourishing your soul, just bringing the pure, total nourishment. It means other things too, but we're going to focus on that. Om Namah Shivaya Paya Snanam Samarpayami. said, with the principle of really trying to sit and tune in, each time there's an offering, try to also tune in to see the difference of how that feels. If you don't feel any differences, that's okay, it takes time. But if you're used to this sort of thing, then each time you'll feel very unique differences per the holiday, per the full moon or partial moon, or, you'll feel everything has a different vibration. So I'm encouraging to try to tune in and really try to have an intention to connect and see what you feel energetically, because this actually trains you to become more intuitive in more of a, not a psychic-ish way, but in a spiritually on the road to enlightenment type of a way. So this is very useful for that type of learning.
Shivaya Sindhuram Samarpayami.
So even though I put this on me and also on Isha, the idea is that you're finding God here and also there and also here. So in the same way, because we're doing it, we're your proxy, so as we do it for ourselves, it's also going to you to connect in that way. So you can have an intention also if you want to try to tune in more to connect to any part of these processes also, not just what's here.
Om Namah Shivaya Chandhanam Samarpayami. Shivaya Akshatam Samarpayami. Flowers. Om Namah Shivaya Pushpam Samarpayami. Shivaya Bhog Naivedyam Samarpayami. And then last offering of just flowers. Ete Ganna Pushpe Om Namah Shivaya. So Brian will offer rice for the 108. We'll do Rudram Saranam. Swamiji suggested Om Rudram Saranam as the mantra to chant during Sarnam, Om Rudram 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 Sarnam,
iti. It's the close of our puja.
Shiva Om Namah
So before we go, we'll set some intentions, but I'm going to break this coconut. So this will be like a way of asking Shiva to release all of his powers, his rudrams. So that is the idea. So you're not going to see me because I'm going to go out there and break it, but just have the intention, you'll probably hear it. And many times when you crack a coconut, when it's actually consecrated, not only do you hear the sound, but you kind of feel the vibration kind of uplift within you in the atmosphere, depending on what the intention is for. So this is kind of like an asking for an initiation in a way of getting that energy started, all of Shiva's powers to kind of be with us, helping us, and for any negativity or anything that's blocking us from having a harmonious travel through our life journey, our spiritual path, our just all the life events that we go through, that any kind of energies that are blocking a nice, natural, harmonious, enlightening process and flow, that those be released, that we be protected from any so-called negativity as we go forward in our life. But primarily that this contains, in a way, the power of kind of enlightenment, if you will, the power to enlighten you, all of us, so that we can kind of hop in this stream and kind of move towards that ultimate ocean of wisdom, love, and consciousness. So we just want to give thanks to all of our gurus and masters for visible and invisible, in human-looking form, in elemental form, in deity form, in stone form, in sky form, in earth form, in interplanetary forms, and sorry, just turn up the volume so you guys can hear a little better. But we're giving respect to all of our gurus that have helped us in our life and our path. Anyone or anything that has taught you, that you recognize and that you don't recognize or not yet recognize. If everything is a part of the cosmic body of Shiva, of God, of the consciousness of infinite goodness, then everything is trying to teach you a lesson. Not just the stuff that's so obvious that it's lesson-based, but the stuff that you can't tell. Not even the sharpest of wit or intelligence can find it. So we have to really meditate and go deep, go beyond the mind to sink into the presence to discover the lessons, the life, the love, the wisdom that has always been there. Got to get into the constant, continual flow of Gyan. As Swamiji says many times, Gyan is like the Ganga. It's a continuous flow. Gyan Ganga. And also as a parting thought, since this is Halloween, understand that prior to this life you didn't have this look. And when you leave this life, you won't have this look. So this indeed is your costume. So every day is Halloween. So it's kind of fitting, that we kind of dress up, during Halloween. So try to reflect on that this is your life costume. And if you don't have a costume, then you kind of, in a sense, you don't have a role prescribed, you don't have a gender, you don't have a psyche in a way that you've been programmed in this lifetime. You're not associated with any particular forms. You don't know how you should respond or react. Preserve it, let it go. Do you need it, not need it? Does it affect you? Like, what is form? What is life? What is this costume? So it's a perfect holiday to kind of contemplate the impermanence of it all. When you stick in a costume for a while, you start to almost assume, well, it's not going anywhere, so this must be me. So the me sense kind of reflects through the whole costume and says, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I am. Only this. So we do want to contemplate the costume. If I'm not this costume, who am I? What am I? What are my obligations? What are my responsibilities? What are my roles to play? If I'm not any of my karma, any of my thoughts, my emotions, my physical sensations, my sense of style or lack thereof, or my sense of position in life, to others, to family, to friends, to myself, to strangers. If I'm none of these things, really, with a capital R, like absolutely, then who am I? What am I? If I took off the costume, the gender, the human body, if I took off all of the forms, the thoughts, the emotions, the psyche, the clothes, the style, this year, this age, this loka, this realm, this humanness, this everything that you have ever been taught, that you've ever learned, all philosophy, religion, tradition, history, society, math, science, all this stuff that's a part of this realm. If all of that was gone, what would you be? So we'll just sit for 5 minutes in silence, meditating. During this meditation, just have the intention, which is the same as holding a mudra with hand, or asana, form with body, holding the inner gesture, the inner mudra, to accept all that Shiva has for you. All of Shiva's powers, all of the Rudra. So allowing it all to wash through you. Just have that as an intention. Accept it all. You have to accept it all eventually. Why not now? Do not let your roles in this life define you, as they are only attributed or associated with the costume that you wear, that you are temporarily calling you. Do not be fooled by other people's roles and don't attribute it just to their costume. Because to believe in their costume being real is also to believe in your own costume to be real. So you must unbelieve the reality of the costumes of everyone, including yourself, of the little bugs, the plants, the animals, the trees, the elements, everything. Everything is temporary. Nothing defines you. Even if you are like a great artist, sculpt with your hands, make wonderful things, what if you lose your hands? Then do you lose all your value? Your value is not attributed to the form, to the costume, to a skill set, to an action. Your value exists because you are. You are the infinite consciousness. Okay, so we'll just kind of intend as closing that you just receive your kind of final blessings for assisting you with the entire process of and transcending through all of the limitations of mind, self, being, feeling, perception, sensation, so that you can experience yourself, your infinite self. Infinite purity, infinite love, the infinite ocean of consciousness, wisdom, eternity. May your meditations enhance and uplift. May you always feel Shiva's powers leading the way. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Har Har Mahadev. So many blessings. Enjoy the rest of Halloween. Contemplate, and the more that you can try to stay in this vibe, the more the energy sinks through you and does its work. See this as initiation. You get it started and then you want to let it continue. So sometimes people will change pace completely and go kind of into world things, and that can start to shut down the process, which you'll still get some stuff, but then it'll start to like degrade the quality of the connection to this vibration. And then so you kind of are filtering out a lot of the help. So the process, spiritually speaking, that gets done is one part in doing, active, plus doing, projecting, creating, and one part in doing nothing, receiving, sitting, relaxing, focusing on awareness and just letting everything come through and do the work. So to attune, do the process to attune, and then to stay attuned is the next part. Most people do any type of practice to attune, and then after they go back into life and very quickly unattune. So they're kind of getting half practice. So the trick is, can I attune? And the next trick is, how long can I stay attuned? So if you really want to increase your sadhana, then attune. How well can I attune? How intensely can I attune? How deeply can I attune? And then how long can I stay attuned with no fluctuations, no blips? I know that's not reasonable for somebody starting out, or maybe even in the middle of their path, or maybe even towards some part of the end. You'll do this a lot. So it's fine. We just have to make this turn more into this. So that's kind of the big question, can I deepen, broaden, expand my attunement and get to those finest levels of vibration of life, cosmic truth, and how long can I keep myself at that level, just going out for eternity. And then when you lose it, I guess that's the next step, because that's inevitable. When you lose it, how quickly can I reattune and regain? You will find this as a basic syndrome. When you lose attunement, it's not so easy as, I'll just go do sadhana and I'll reattune. It doesn't work like that. I'm sure you all have discovered. Once you lose attunement, it takes some time. You have to slough off the karma that you just gained by indulging into the world in the way that you did, which can take minor ways of interacting karmically in the world. Let's pretend it lasts 3 to 6 hours, 12 hours. The more intense the karma, the indulgence, the mindlessness, the harder it is to regain mindfulness. So if you live your life or you go into patterns that are kind of mindless, like it's not helping your heart grow and expand in love, and it's not helping you become wise and focus on the great truths that the Gyanis propounded forever. If it's not helping you move in that direction, it's some aspect probably of mindlessness. So how do you stop it, catch it in the act, and regain mindfulness, which is being more attentive to just being in the finer vibration of life. If you can master that, everywhere you go, you are mindful. Not as an act, but as a reality. You are, capital M, mind. You are full of the great mind, the big mind, the Mahat, the cosmic mind. So I'll leave you with that. So try to take the vibration with you the best you can. Many blessings. Namaste.